Hi, I'm Laura, and this is the Solo Business Playbook podcast. If you're building a business on your own, thinking about starting to freelance, but feel like you have no idea what you're doing, then you're in the right place. I've taken the non-traditional path from the 9 to 5 into freelancing and now running my own business. And on this podcast, I'm sharing what's actually worked, what hasn't, and everything I'm still figuring out along the way. We'll talk about finding clients, growing your income, and building a solo business that actually supports your life without leaning into hustle culture, and with real stories from other freelancers and founders. So let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode. I am so excited for this episode. As a self-proclaimed reformer Pilates lover, I am so excited for my guest today. I am joined by Sienna, founder of Hausformer. I'm so happy to have you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm
And
so
yeah, I'll
happy
just
to be
let
here.
you do a little introduction of yourself.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Sienna and I am the founder of Hausformer and we sell foldable reformer beds. So one of the questions I saw that you had sent me was how would you explain your role at a party? And this really made me laugh because whenever I have to, I'm always like, so do you know what reformer Pilates is? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, you know the machine? I sell the machine. And they're like, that's so random. Like
so
literally it's the most
random.
random thing ever. But yeah, obviously picked quite a good time to get into something like this because it's literally
100%.
exploded.
It's everywhere.
We officially launched in February of 2024, but the idea was actually like long before that.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
it's so funny to see now like how many, like at the time I think there was only maybe one competitor in the space and they were a very, very long standing brand basically. Compared to
Yeah.
now it's everywhere, which I think is amazing. But yeah, that's me, that's who I am.
Yeah. About that was actually going to be one of my questions at
Mm,
some point in this because I
mm-hmm,
feel like I see obviously reformer Pilates everywhere now, especially being based
mm-hmm,
in Bali. Like you cannot
mm-hmm.
walk down a street or grab down a street without seeing multiple reformer studios now. And I was thinking like such a genius idea, firstly, especially like
Mm-hmm.
imagine during COVID how handy that would have been to have your own
Oh my
reformer
gosh,
machine.
yeah.
But I was curious whether there are a lot of competitors actually in your space in the UK specifically, because I've never come across anything else like it apart from Hausformer. So there you go.
That's good to hear. No,
Yeah.
there definitely are competitors in the space now, but I think there are differences 100%. So, like, our product is metal, and a
Yeah.
lot of the competitors in our space have wooden beds.
Yeah.
Obviously, ultimately, you can't really make a reformer that different because, apart from the design and things like that, ultimately, the reformer is the reformer.
Yeah.
Um, it's just preference in terms of wooden or metal. Obviously,
Hmm.
I think metal is more durable. If you were to go to
Yeah.
any studio, they've all got metal beds, and that's just
Yeah.
because they last longer. But yeah, there are competitors in the space. I think probably now, I'd say in the UK, we have maybe like 7 strong competitors in the space, in my opinion. And that's like
Yeah.
taking away from, the really, really long standing ones that have been around for maybe, 20,
Yeah.
30 years or something like that.
And I guess the more B2B facing ones that sell
Hmm.
to actual studios rather than like B2C, where you're like buying it for your home, which to be
Literally, yeah.
like, if I lived in the UK, I 100% would have a reformer machine in my house.
Another thing to talk about, like the pricing, obviously, like I live in London, so a lot of people will kind of say to me, oh, why are you selling reformers when there's a
Mm,
reformer studio on every corner? That's surely not a good business plan. Like things like that. Like I think 100%, like we are absolutely blessed in London to have so many studios everywhere and so much opportunity to try, but literally the majority of our sales are coming from like the middle of nowhere. Like it will be
yeah,
like Ireland or Scotland where there's like literally no studios around. So I feel like when people say that to me, I kind of just like sort of laugh in my head because I'm like,
yeah,
it doesn't only just exist in London or even similar cities like Manchester or Liverpool. There's still only like a few studios in those places. So yeah, no, it is quite funny. But yeah, obviously the pricing is very high for classes. And if you are
Yeah.
either, because a lot of people who buy are also instructors who want to
Yeah.
sort of class plan or maybe do one-to-ones at home and things like that, you know, the cost obviously outweighs it. Basically pays off within a year of what you'd pay on a membership.
100%.
And then you've got
Yeah,
it for
that's the
life, which is
thing.
fantastic. I think it is interesting because long before Houseformer, I was doing classes and things like that. And I still do, even though I have my own reformer, I've got a little studio in the garden, I still like to go to classes because I think that I'm not an instructor, I'm none of that. So I still like to learn. I like to turn my brain off, which is really important for me. So I think it's a difficult one. I don't think we ever brought out Houseformer to ever sort of necessarily replace the studio experience because I think
Yeah,
it's really important. Because,
for
for
sure.
example, if someone has never tried reformer Pilates and they've bought a Houseformer, if you don't really know the basics, it's quite a dangerous machine.
It's
If
quite
you don't know what you're
intimidating.
doing, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So I think it is really important that people have enough knowledge to not injure themselves or, do it correctly. So I definitely think studios still have a massive place. I think community as well, they serve different purposes, but Houseformer specifically for those people who don't have access to studios, it's good
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, awesome. And so today we were going to talk about kind of the highs and lows, and
Ooh.
mainly the lows of building businesses that
The
people
lows.
don't,
Okay.
the lows that people don't see on social media. I feel like, and I post a lot of founder content on TikTok
Hmm.
specifically, and I do feel like when you're constantly being fed the idyllic aesthetic,
It's draining, to be honest.
yeah, it can be really hard to get a real perspective of what it's like.
100%. Like, I think it's difficult when, for example, you're maybe going through a hard time in your business or you're seeing everyone all make
Yeah.
a six-figure month with
Yeah.
me or whatever,
Oh,
whatever
yeah,
it is. It can be, it's just overwhelming, I think.
for
And
sure.
it is really hard to deal with. And I do try and be quite honest with the things that we struggle with as a business and me as a founder individually because I'm still really young. So like I'm literally figuring it out. Like
Yeah,
I feel like it's sometimes really hard when obviously our competitors are people who've been in the space a lot longer, they're a lot older with a lot more experience and I'm literally freestyling. Like it's
yeah,
kind of working out pretty okay, but like it is hard and I think there are definitely many lows. And I actually do try and be as transparent about that as possible, especially if anyone ever directly asks me, like my friends and stuff, if they're like, oh, I want to start a business. I'm always like, yes, amazing, like you go diva, but also
but
it's really hard. Like you need to be prepared, like literally um but definitely I think there are like it's so hard because when it's high and things are going really well or something happens that you've been really working towards, it's like a feeling of euphoria because it's like,
yeah,
well, in my case, like you've literally built this from
yeah,
nothing to like an actual business
for
and like
sure.
it's all your work because like it's actually
Yeah,
my baby. So like those highs are amazing, but then when it's low, it's like, for example, when I worked a 9 to 5, if you're
yeah,
having a low day, your manager is going to pick you up and help you move along and give you the next steps and da 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 da. Like if you're in that low spot, you've got to pick yourself up. Like
you are the
literally, it
only one. You have to
has to
pick yourself
be
up
you.
and dust yourself off. Yeah,
And it's like the last thing you want to do because it's just like whatever it is that you're going through has clearly got you down that bad. But it's
yeah,
just constantly up and down. Like I just feel
yeah,
like from my perspective, it's like a couple of weeks ago was probably one of the worst weeks I had. Then like last week was like an amazing week, and then it's
yeah,
like a kind of a bit mediocre, and then it's
yeah,
like it's literally like that on a graph basically. So
yeah,
what I do say when people are like, "Oh, I want to start something," I'm like, if you really value consistency in your life, don't start a business
yeah.
because it's not
That is
you're
so
not going to
true.
be at least for probably a long time. Well, from
Yeah.
my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's so many tangents that I could go on from everything you just said, but I want to ask you specifically when you look at how building a business gets portrayed online
Hmm.
versus what your actual day-to-day looks like, what is the biggest gap within that you notice?
Oh, this is a really interesting question because I think when I first started the business, and don't get me wrong, of course we're busy, but in my head I was like, every single hour is going to be jam packed with work. I'm going to be meeting. But realistically, that kind of schedule is for a much larger business that has been running a lot longer time. I think there's obviously kind of like now transitioning, because we obviously launched, and that was obviously hectic because it's kind of figuring things out, dealing with ads, dealing with Google, dealing with the website. Like there's quite a lot of work there. But then once you kind of got to, I wouldn't necessarily say we're at scaling stage yet, but once you're kind of, everything's kind of sweet, like you've kind of found your strategies and things like that. I don't know, like the days, they all kind of just blend into one. Like unless, for example, we do like a shoot day, that's different, got the models like that's all fun, but realistically every day I'm just sat on my laptop. Like it's no like lovely lunches and meetings in town. It's literally just me and my laptop.
Do you know what? I completely agree with you. And I think my answer would be very similar to yours to this question, because I actually posted the other day because I just wanted to break up my content a little bit. So I was like, right, I'm just going to post a carousel day in the life. And I had a really busy day that particular day. But even in the caption, I wrote, full disclaimer, like most of my days is me in my pajamas at my laptop, barely moving.
Literally.
Like it's not exciting and it's not glamorous.
Anytime I'm dropping a day in the life, you best believe that's the busiest day of my year.
Yeah,
like any other day, like
it's the
literally
only
any
day I
other
did
day,
anything exciting.
literally me. No, like honestly, but that, I just think that's the reality of it. It's not going to be super glamorous. It's just not like that in my situation anyway. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy what I do. I like doing my stuff. I'm lucky enough, for example, I was able to go traveling and still work the whole time. That was a massive privilege to be able to do that and pick up and leave for basically 3 months. But yeah, I would say from my perspective, it is quite different, but also I do find that content that you do see online very inspirational a lot of the time. I do enjoy it, and I think it serves a purpose in its own way. But definitely my life doesn't look like that every day.
No. And I feel like one of the lows, I would say, in building a business that kind of especially solo founder comes across is the loneliness, and
Oh my gosh.
maybe as well just not having, especially at the start before you've kind of met people doing the same thing, is just not having people around you that get it.
Oh my gosh,
So
100%.
when you were getting Hausformer off the ground initially, what was everyone else around you doing? Like your close friends, your family, were they all in 9 to 5s? Was there anyone you could kind of lean on or take inspiration from
Yeah.
there?
So a lot of my sort of like school friends, were basically still in uni or finishing uni, which to me was like insane. Like I can't even explain, because for example, I started working my 9 to 5 when I was 17.
Yeah.
And then we launched Hausformer last year officially, and I was 20 at the time. So I've had all this time of like working, and they've not even worked. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it was just like weird. I felt like obviously they couldn't really understand it from my perspective, but that I didn't feel like they were necessarily unsupportive or anything. I think it's just obviously different stages of life. But my stepdad is also an entrepreneur, so I was lucky to be able to have someone to kind of bounce ideas off of. His business is like a service-based industry and not a product, which by the way are two completely different things.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like a whole nother thing I could talk about. But that relationship has been really important for me. I think especially going back to sort of another question you sent me about self-doubt. Ooh, that's hard. Like that's really hard. So like when I was having sort of those moments of self-doubt, which was quite often, because it's like putting yourself out there and starting a business and posting that to like every single person on your Instagram, like it's really nerve-wracking, especially when you don't actually have any idea if it's going to work. So I think I definitely had a lot of moments like that, but I do have other friends who are business owners as well. But again, those relationships have grown maybe in the past year a bit more, because now I sort of know what I'm talking about and can have a proper conversation about it.
And you have so much more in common. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, so much. And I think Like the majority of my friends were literally finishing uni. So I think they probably thought, what the hell is she doing? So like it's probably very scary for them, especially when they're out trying to find jobs and things like that. But
Yeah.
like I think I have a lot of support from my family, like emotionally and helping me getting through and all these kinds of things. Like they keep me sort of in check, because I'm kind of like one of those people where, not so much anymore, I've really worked on this, but like say something goes wrong. I remember the first couple of months in the business, I had the worst anxiety. Like I literally can't even explain to you. Like we had our first shipments arriving and some of them were damaged and the box, and I literally thought I was going to die. I was like, my life is over. But realistically, it's not like that deep. Like obviously we'll sort it and we'll find a way around it. But at the time, it just felt like there was no other like feeling in my body apart from anxiety. But that's definitely changed. And yeah, my family and my boyfriend have helped me so much through that. Like without them, it definitely would not be possible at all, because that's my support system 100%. Like even the whole business's support system.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a founder's anxiety, which is just like a completely different type of anxiety that like anyone in business, whether they're freelancing or founder or like long-term business owner, it's really hard to shake it. And obviously some days it's non-existent. And then other days you just go to bed and you just feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And you're like, I'm responsible for like
all
so
this stuff
much.
going on. Yeah, literally. That's like another thing. Like I do feel like, obviously I don't mean it, but I do sometimes envy my friends, because it's like you just get paid what you get paid at the end of every month. You don't really have any
Switch
real
off at 5 p.m.
responsibility. You can just turn your phone off. You can take your annual leave. Like I'm like, I kind of envy you, but obviously I don't. I think it's just like, it can get a lot sometimes, especially the anxiety 100%. But to be honest, like working on that has looked like it's not a simple line. I don't think you can ever really get over it. Like I think ultimately you learn to deal with things better and you learn to manage your emotions better, but it never goes away because you care about it. If you didn't care about it, you wouldn't have anxiety. But in mine and your case, like we love our businesses, it's our baby, we poured so much of our heart and soul into it that that anything that could potentially go wrong, it's literally like it's like on you like that. But I think you just learn to deal with it differently.
100%. And I love that point, because also like as a business grows, you don't grow a business and launch a business and then get to a point where everything's done. You're always presented with new challenges, new things that you need to figure out, problems that you've never encountered before. So like even though,
Oh my
like you say, you
gosh.
get much better at managing things and managing your reaction to things, sometimes you do feel like you're just constantly putting out new fires that you've never seen before.
Literally. No, literally. And that is like the other thing. It's like a lot of the things that you have to deal with is like you would never even have thought that you were going to have to deal with an issue like that. Like it literally would have never even crossed. Like if I looked back, like when people say, "Oh, what would you say to like your pre-founder self or whatever?" I would be like, you are literally about to be a firefighter. Like there's going to be issues that you can't even comprehend that you're going to have to find a way around and deal with. But again, I think that is just like what it is. It's never a simple line. Like, I literally don't know one single person that has a business that's just smooth sailing. Like that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I get very nervous when everything's smooth sailing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Something's coming.
This is suspicious. I'm like, this is too suspicious.
Yeah,
No,
like why has
honestly,
everything
same.
felt very easy lately?
Yeah. No, 100%.
So in the last 2 years of launching and growing Hausformer, what would you say, if you're obviously happy to talk about it, what would you say has been the hardest thing that you've had to deal with in building the
Ooh,
business?
that's like a really good question, and I feel like I could give so many different answers to that. But I would probably say there's definitely like emotional things I could say, but the more sort of like actual logical thing in the business that has happened is probably the most recent, well, it's still ongoing, is the global shipping issues at the moment and delays and all these kind of things that have been happening. That it kind of gave me the realization that obviously if you're a massive business and you have enough money to obviously just pay whatever for the shipping to
Yep.
get it here. But if you're a
Throw
small
it at the
business where
problem.
you're self-funded, you know, it's a very different story. I think it kind of gave me like a bit of realization that obviously you could be working literally every single second to make your business work. You could be doing everything you can, but ultimately it still can fail due to like just outside things going on, like the state of the world and things like that. Like you can't control that, but ultimately it's affecting you and you can't really do anything about it. Obviously these things change, it doesn't stay that way forever. So I think for me, it's like the past, I'd say maybe like 3 weeks ago, like it was really difficult. Like I was like, I don't know how we're going to be able to move forward from this,
Yeah.
because obviously ultimately everything is going up in price, like fuel, shipping, storage, blah blah blah, everything. And bear in
Yep.
mind our product is quite large and quite
Yep.
heavy, so you
Yeah,
know
you can't
it's
really
not
cut
as
corners on shipping
not as
costs there.
simple
No.
as like putting it on a plane. Like that's just unfortunately
First
not going to
class
be able
stamp.
to happen. No, literally. So again, it's very different. Like it's, I always say, like, if I was going to start another business, I would like, they have to be like very light so they can get on a plane, because it's
Yeah.
a lot of hurdles to deal with. But I think that that's probably the most recent thing that has been really difficult, because it's out of your control. And I think most business owners are very big control freaks.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I think
100%.
I am, especially when it comes to my business. So knowing
Yeah.
there's things going on where ultimately you can't do anything about it, and you
Yeah.
know maybe you have an upset customer who's been waiting for a long time, but you literally can't do anything about it. And it still is hard, but you know, again, it's just about remembering nothing is permanent, things are always changing, it won't stay this way forever.
Yeah.
And kind of just like pushing through. But that's like one of those moments where it's like I literally feel like I have no options. Again, there is obviously perspective of like, oh well, you could maybe take out a loan or take investment to cover those costs. But it's like, from my opinion, that just feels like a very desperate thing to do. And if you're not 100%, if your heart's not 100% in that, especially if, well, in my case, never taken investment before or a loan out or anything like that, like it is nerve-wracking. So it's like, you know, I think that's probably one of the most difficult things we've dealt with as a business, in terms of like
Yeah.
cash flow and things like that, because it's like we have stock but it's stuck in the middle of the ocean and we don't know when we're going to get it. And
Yeah.
you know, and like we literally don't know, they don't know, nobody knows, like literally nobody knows the answer. So because also the other hardest thing in my perspective is cash flow, especially when you've had no investment. It's like literally very 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 difficult. And as well, like when you're a new founder, I can speak from experience as a first time product like founder, when you start, everyone's going to tell you you need everything. Like they're going to say, oh, you need PR, you need, I think you
Yeah.
do need better ads, but like you need PR, you need better ads, you need Google ads, you need this, that, and the other, like TikTok, everything. So it's like you don't really know where to spend your money, and sometimes you'll waste money trying something and it doesn't work, and you know it's
Yeah.
hard to manage. And I feel like that for me, like I'm really not a numbers person. Like luckily we've got an accountant, because whew,
Yeah.
I
Best
literally,
investment I've ever made is
yeah,
a good
like I
accountant.
can't, no, I can't deal with that. So I feel like cash flow is a very tricky thing to deal with. But I think you just have to be, it's all about like sacrifice, I think, in terms of, for example, not taking money from the business. Like I know a lot of
Yeah.
people would start a business and take money straight away, and that's fair enough if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. But if you're willing to obviously sacrifice not getting any money for a while you're building it, then that is really going to help with your cash flow and really going to help grow the business. And that's
Yeah.
something that I did basically, and I think that really really helped. But not everybody can do that, you know what I mean? It's
No.
different, it's different for everybody. So
Yeah, sure. And I feel like there's two things. So I definitely want to come back to cash flow. But one
mm-hmm,
thing I was kind of thinking of when you were talking about the difficult decisions you had to make and things like that. And I do
mm,
think that when you're a solo founder or a first time
mm-hmm,
founder, even if you do have done it with someone, it's making those decisions with no one,
mm,
no one as a sounding board, but also no one to
mm,
be like, yes, this is a good decision, no, this is a bad decision, and
mm.
just even having to just make the decision on your own when you know that that decision could determine the future of your business is
100%.
like one of the
Oh,
most
that's like,
overwhelming situations I've ever been in personally.
it is really, really overwhelming. And I think, oh, what do I think? Even thinking about it like makes me feel
Yeah,
stressed
I know.
because
My
I know,
my
I
chest went
know,
tight just then.
literally. I think it's a really difficult thing, but I think as the time has gone on and how many more situations I've been put in, you just get thicker skin. Like you just have to either go with your gut and do what you do. And I just kind of have one of those mindsets where I'm just like, ultimately everything will be fine eventually. Like I just try
Yeah,
not to deep it that much. Like I just kind of think
we'll figure it out.
this will be fine, and if this doesn't work out, it's a mistake that I'll learn from. And like that's kind, I think that's honestly the only mindset you can have when it comes to these things. Because if, for example, you do make a decision and it turns out to be a bad one, you've just learned from it. Like you can't always make the right decisions, otherwise, do you know what I mean? Like no business always makes the right
Yeah.
decisions, and you'll
Oh, of
learn from
course.
it. And I think like as a young founder specifically, I think I'm in quite a unique situation because I still don't really have a lot of sort of adult responsibilities. Like I don't
Mhm.
have children, I still live at home. So at my current stage is the only time I can really take so much risk.
Yeah.
And I just kind of utilize that as much as I possibly can because it definitely won't last forever.
Yeah, no, that's actually such a good point. I love that. And it's definitely, like you say, something that doesn't get easier, but
No, it
you
doesn't, but
kind of learn
you just
how,
adapt.
yeah, for sure. And
Y-
I actually saw something earlier that said, you don't learn how to swim by reading about it. And I was like, that is literally so
Oh my
true.
gosh,
Like
I
I
think
feel
I
like
saw that too.
I'm like, I
I,
read it earlier. I saw it on a
yeah.
TikTok.
Don't worry, girl. Son. No, literally, but it is true because it's like when people say, "Oh, I'll start when I have this, or I'll start
Yeah,
the business when I've got the money, or I've finished this or that," and it's just like you just need to do it. Because I was a bit like that at the beginning, because obviously the idea was coming together, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to launch it until we have confirmation of when delivery is going to be, or blah, 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 whatever it is." And I'm like, girl, you just need to start. Like, you just need to start. Because then also, once you start, you can't really back out now. Because,
yeah.
like, everybody's probably sent it to their group chat. So it's like, do you know what I mean? You need to, like, lock in.
Yeah, for sure. So coming back to cash flow, because I feel
Yes.
like this is a one thing that people don't really warn you about when you start a business, but also it's not really something people do talk about when they're posting things on
Hmm.
social media relating to their
Hmm.
business. So what did cash flow look like for you? Obviously, you're self-funded, which for a product-based business is, I mean, there's so many costs of it. I have a service-based business. I'm
Hmm.
currently building a product-based business, and
Yeah.
there's just so many things that I had not
So many
even
costs.
considered
Literally,
before.
it's insane.
So yeah, what did that kind of look like for you on your journey?
So from the beginning, in terms of self-funding, I think there was probably like we maybe invested about 3 or 4 grand into the company. And I was very lucky. My boyfriend built the website, and I have a background in sort of content and social media. So I run all the social media, I do all the content, never paid a photographer or anything like that. Like all of that is me. So I feel like a lot of the costs that would necessarily be there, for example, like a social media manager or a website builder, luckily those didn't exist. But so we put a bit of money into the company. We obviously got our first sample. We were happy with that, and we kind of just started with that. And then basically what we did is basically invest all the other money into ads.
Yep.
And from that, we did basically like a pre-order. So
Yeah.
people would pre-order, and then that's how we ended up getting money into the business. And once we had that money, obviously we placed that order, blah, 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 blah. And at the beginning, lead times were long, but ultimately at the time there was nobody else really doing it. So
Exactly.
compared
Yeah.
to now, it's a very different story. You can get one in a day probably, but at the
Yeah.
time there wasn't really anybody doing it. So it was fine, and that worked for us. And we did that probably for, I don't know, maybe about 6 months. I'd probably say about 6 months. And then when we had enough money in the business, we were then placing sort of, I say bulk orders, but like orders of
Mhm.
5. So like if
Yeah.
we had orders of 5 and let's say 2 sold, we'd order another 5.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of how we got to. And that was basically the only way that it was going to be possible for us
Yeah.
to get money in the business. I think there was definitely opportunity where I could have got investment.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I just kind of thought that I think it's really important to know your strategies. For example, at that time, we weren't even paying that much in meta ads because there was nobody else really doing it, which is insane to think about how much we spend now. But it was just like a time frame thing, I suppose. But yeah, like the cash flow thing, it is hard because, again, you know, when people say, oh, more money, more problems, but that is literally what it is, because the more
Yeah.
money and more sort of bigger your business gets, the higher the costs get. You know, you have
Yeah.
to pay for more storage or pay for this, pay for that. You know, it is a lot. And I think it's something we do still struggle with. It's a month by month thing, because again, as I was saying about this certain circumstance going on in the world at the moment, for example, we're waiting on stock. So obviously none of those have sold, but I still need to place another order. So it's like
Hmm.
managing. So I don't know, this is just like a personal thing, but I would say I'm quite a good saver. So
Yeah.
say, for example, if we had a really good month, like I'm always putting money away, like always,
Yeah.
always, always, even just so I know it's there, because I know eventually a bad month will come, because
Yeah.
that's just natural. Not every month is the same. So I think a lot of it is just about trying to be smart with it, like not spending all your money on everything. Or for example, there was a time we were spending money on PR,
Yeah.
and it was amazing and she did a great job and she got us into things and it was fab. But at the time, I think it was like 2 grand a month. And
Yeah.
like we
Wow.
were a very small business, and that was not a good business decision to make from
Yeah.
my perspective. But you just want to try these things. But I think it's like realizing, yes, okay, this is good, but can you spend that money right now? You know,
Hmm.
it might be nice to see your product in Women's Health or whatever it is, or Tatler
Hmm.
or whatever it is, but realistically, is that making you any money? You don't really know. It's not like meta ads where you can look on the pixel and see where the
Yeah.
sales
All the
come through.
analytics are
You just
there.
don't, yeah,
Yeah.
like you just don't know. So it's so difficult, because I wish I had the answer, because I don't.
Yeah.
It's just about adapting, I reckon.
Yeah, and I do feel like one thing that stood out to me with what you just said is
Mm-hmm.
the strategy that you had from the start with like the
Mm,
pre-orders, despite knowing that it was going to be a long lead time. I feel
yeah,
like that alone would have, like, some people would have been like, oh, I can't start it then. There's no way I could do,
yeah,
like, I don't have
yeah,
the cash to meet the minimum order
yeah,
quantity from the
exactly.
manufacturer, and
Oh my gosh,
people aren't
100%.
going to wait X amount of weeks to receive
Yeah,
it. So I guess this isn't a business I can start. The fact that, like,
yeah,
you knew, okay, this is what we've got cash wise, this is the situation we're in,
mm-hmm.
but I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to make it work. And like, I
Yeah.
think so many people get put off right at that beginning stage because they
Oh
do
my
think,
gosh.
like, they'll come on Houseformer's website and they'll see these amazing reformer machines,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll think, oh my God, this must have cost so much money to start. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, you saying that you
Yeah,
started with like 3 or 4 grand,
a bit
that's
literally
not
nothing.
that's not out
No,
of the
like
realms of
literally
possibility.
nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And I think that it's actually funny, because I was listening to a podcast the other day of Amy
I love
Smell.
her.
I love
Yeah, I
her
love
so
her.
much. And she was on, I think it was Olivia Atwood's podcast, talking
I
about the
listened to the
exact same
same
thing,
one. Yeah.
saying about how they ended up getting money in the business. Everything was pre-order. And I
Yeah.
think realistically, if you are young and you want to start a business, it's the way to know if it is really going to work. Do you know what I mean? Because if you can get people to order, and obviously it's not a cheap product, I'm
Yeah.
not unaware of that, it's a nearly 2 grand product. So to get someone to pay £2,000, they're not going to get it for 8 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember at the time now. That's a big commitment from a brand new business that
Yeah.
nobody's ever heard of, that has like
Yeah.
100 followers.
Yeah.
Obviously we had a bit more following than that, but when
That's
you
how
look
you
at it
know
like
there's a
that,
demand there. Yeah.
exactly, like if you can really get like someone well, obviously more than one person, but like multiple people interested, wanting to buy, then you've got a business plan and you haven't even really put any money on the table. But I think
Yeah.
at the time, I remember I was speaking to a few sort of older people I know, and they're like, do you back yourself? Like, let's say I was just going to buy the stock outright instead of doing this made to order thing. And I was like, well, obviously I back myself, but I'm definitely one of those people where, as much as I said I hate numbers, like data is really important for me. Being able to understand who is seeing the ads, the interest that they got, growing the mailing list, seeing sort of the locations of where people were, blah, 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 blah. Like that gave me a lot of confidence. And I don't know, I just feel like, again, like what I kind of said before, like I just always have that feeling like everything's going to work out in the end.
Yeah.
And even then, like I know I'll probably have loads of other businesses in my life. This is probably just the first product one. Like I can't even explain to you how much I have learned. Like I literally, like, it's like insane. But 100% I would say if someone wanted to start a business and they were like, well, I have no money, I have this, I'm like, you literally don't need money. Like TikTok is free to promote on. You don't even need ads on TikTok. Meta, I think you do need ads nowadays, but I would just put all my effort into TikTok because it's all organic. And yeah, obviously you need some money to maybe get a few samples and things like that, but also, say for example it was a product, you can negotiate with those people to potentially send you a free sample and blah blah blah. Like there's ways around it. But yeah, I think I would, like, if I was going to do it again, I would maybe follow the same method. I don't know, like maybe I think it's a great one for new founders.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm definitely gonna pick your brain offline about product-based
100%.
for sure.
Go for it, girl, because I literally didn't know anyone doing anything like this. Like I knew a lot of service-based founders, like loads of them. And I remember actually talking to my stepdad about it, and he was just like, this is just a completely different world. It's like he literally couldn't even comprehend a lot of the things that you have to deal with. But honestly, I don't really feel like I have known anyone that's sold a product, like someone close to me that I can really talk to.
No, I'm the same.
But again, I think you just got to go with your gut. I really think you do. Because I mean, if there's no one else to give you an answer, like you're literally all you've got.
Exactly. I feel like you have kind of already answered this, and you've obviously said that you're very much like everything's going to work itself out. But was there ever a point that you got to where you were like, this isn't going to work? Like, I don't know if I've made the right decision here.
I wouldn't say like a decision in the business, but like just having the business as a whole. There are so many times I have, like all the time, probably at least 3 times a week. And I'm trying to like pinpoint one specific thing. I don't know. I feel like a couple of weeks ago, maybe a bit longer than that. When you just like are having one of those weeks where everything is going wrong, like literally everything is going wrong. Like that cost's gone up. You owe this person this one. This is delayed. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Just like, and it does get a lot because it's one, a lot of pressure, and two, it's like sometimes, like even though it's your thing, like you just don't want to deal with it. It's like you don't have enough mental capacity to be like, you don't have the answer, you don't know what to do,
and also to be pulled in like all the different directions at the same time as well. You're like, I can't deal with
like
that
it would
one
be
today.
like, oh, I'm having a call with one person and they're giving me bad news about something, and then like I'm going on another call with someone and I have to like be super happy and like like and be present. It's like it is a lot to deal with. And also I think, how I was sort of talking about my anxiety in the beginning, and she's amazing. Like I literally could not live without her. Like
That's amazing.
I think it is about as quick as you can, and obviously I'm wary of the fact, cash flow and things like that, but as quick as you can, hire a virtual assistant. Like you don't need to be an employee. Hire someone where you can delegate those things that really cause you the most stress, that you're wasting that much time on. Because there was things like that would take her 2 seconds, which would take me 2 hours. Because it's just not how my brain works. You're not going to be good at every single thing in your business. Like you're just not. Like you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses. Like being able to pass those things on to Madison, like literally changed the business overnight because I wasn't wasting so much time trying to do something that she can literally do in a second.
I agree with what you say. Like some days I just have weeks where I'm like, oh my God, why
Mm,
did I do this? But then,
yeah.
I'll get a good night's sleep, wake up in the
Hmm.
morning, have a nice coffee, and then I'm like, oh, right, new day. This is my baby. We're going to make it work.
Exactly. Like, I think ultimately you have to make it work, even if
Yeah.
you're having one of those moments. Like, I'm not going to give up. That's just
Yeah.
not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've come too far now. This is like, I've gotten through the hard bit. There's all a hard bit. I've gotten through so much. When I'm in one of those moments, I just think back to when I've previously been in one of those moments and come out of it. And it's really funny because me and my boyfriend, we're literally the same. Whenever we feel like the world is sort of crumbling around us and, nothing's working, da 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 da, it's always straight after that something really good happens, like literally, and that's always the way. And it's the same for both of us, and he's in a completely different career. But it's like, I kind of just have that thought in my head. I'm like, well, every other time this has happened, something really good has happened afterwards. So
Yeah.
I've just got to keep pushing through till the really good thing happens.
It
And
really
that's
is a roller
literally
coaster.
what happened like a couple of weeks ago. So I was like, that's fab.
Amazing. So, what is something that you feel like you had to learn way faster than you felt ready to
Oh
learn?
my gosh, so much. Because I love my business and I put so much into it, getting any negative feedback from any customer or just
Yeah.
anyone, if anyone said, sort of at the beginning, I was like, no, like that was
Yeah.
the hardest thing. Like I took it really personally,
Yeah.
like genuinely
It's
really
hard not
personally.
to. I would just put off even opening the email. Like it would
No,
honestly take me like a day to even open an email that I knew just had like
see,
bad
this is why
news
I
in
had,
it.
yeah, this is why I had to get Madison, because I would just ignore them. I would just not them, but I mean, if I knew I had to sort of deal with something, I just would just ignore it because that was something I really personally struggled with.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
it does feel
like now,
personal when
it
it's
does feel
your
personal because
baby. Yeah.
it's like literally you, it's what you're doing. Or even, for example, if someone said, oh, maybe you could change that on the website, I would literally be like, don't talk about my website like that. I don't even really know why. I think it's just because I cared about it so much. But now that has really changed. And I think now when I look at it, if, say, for example, there's an issue with someone's reformer, I'm just like, okay, well, how can we solve it? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here thinking, oh, they're picking on me, they're picking my business
Yeah.
apart, like, because that's how it did feel at the start. And obviously that was 2 years ago, and now I'm nearly 22, so like I think that's just maturity in itself
For
of just
sure.
growing up. But
And
I honestly
resilience as
think that was
well.
the hardest thing. I think that was the hardest thing for me because I really took it personally. Like, I would literally be sobbing, I would be crying to my boyfriend all the time. And I remember this one time, I think I'd been away or something, and Madison had been dealing with this stuff. And there was something that, it was basically like a customer had been waiting a while. There was a delay or something. And basically, when it arrived to the warehouse, all the packaging was broken. The
Mhm.
product was fine, but the actual
Yeah.
packaging, I don't know what they'd been doing with it. Clearly thrown it around a truck, I don't know. But it was like broken, and she sat me down and she was like, okay, well, I have something to tell you, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We've sorted it. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack like that,
Yeah.
because that's how much it would stress me out. Because but I literally don't even know why. But now I just don't worry about it. I'm just like, look, it is what it is. Like, all I can say
Yeah.
in those situations is, it is what it is.
It
How
is
do we
what
fix
it is.
it? How do we move on? Because if I start dwelling on things like that, I won't get
Mhm.
anything done. It's like I
Yeah,
go
for
into
sure.
some kind of hole. So I think personally for me, for example, if someone was talking badly, saying it's a bad idea, or talking
Mhm.
badly about me, I'm not that bothered about that. It is what it, like,
Yeah.
whatever. It was just specifically about the business, and especially because you care so much. Any customer that, well, all customers you care about, but any of your first customers, if they haven't had a good experience for whatever reason, it literally felt like being shot in the heart. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe that this has happened. They're going to want a refund, they're going to want like this, and all these things are going in your brain, like the cash flow, and how am I going to afford that, and how,
Mhm.
and it's like my brain would immediately go into survival mode. Like, I'm
Yeah.
already thinking about all the bad things that are about to happen, and they haven't even said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
they've literally never even said that. You've just made that up in your head. So I think
Yeah.
that was probably, and it is still hard to deal with because obviously you never want anyone to have a bad
No.
experience. But I would say these things to my stepdad. He was like, yeah, but think about how many refunds Amazon get a year. I think about how many
100%.
times people refund an Amazon order, and I'm like, yeah, true.
I saw another, this was also a TikTok. I promise I don't spend all my
TikTok
life on TikTok.
educated.
I do actually work, but I literally saw one the other day that was saying about how even Central Park in New York has 1-star reviews. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
literally a green field and it has a
Yeah,
1-star
yeah,
review.
yeah, yeah. Literally.
I feel like now for me, whenever there's something negative has happened, I feel like there's a difference as well between just outright criticism and constructive
Yeah.
criticism.
Mm.
Now it's like, first question, how can we fix it? Second question, how can we learn from it? And you said this earlier, making mistakes and things going wrong is like the fastest way to learn
Hmm.
new things, but also how to deal with it.
If you're not making mistakes, your business isn't going to change
Yeah,
because
you're
if
not
you're just
taking
doing the
risks.
same exact thing, you're not taking enough risk. And that is something I'm more than happy to do. I think that's actually probably one of the main reasons why I would say the business is as successful as it is because I'm definitely not afraid to take risk. And I think that mindset has definitely been installed by my stepdad, my mum as well. Like, I just think they're kind of just like, just go for it. And if it fails, so what? At least you tried, at least you gave it a go. But I do think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs do get scared to take risk at the beginning. But I'm like, that's the best time to take the risk because you've
For
got nothing
sure.
to lose. You've literally got nothing to lose at this point. Like,
Yeah. It's a lot
so
easier
it's,
to
it's
take a
only going to
risk
go
when
up
it's
from
just
here.
you and your savings versus when it's like a team of
Yeah.
20 and you're responsible for their livelihoods.
Yeah, and you've got like a mortgage to pay and you've
Yeah.
got children to feed and you've got this and you've got that. Like, luckily, well, not luckily, obviously, I hope I
Yeah.
have that one day, but I just mean right now,
Right
I
now.
don't have those anxieties. It's literally just me. So I'm willing to take that risk on myself. But I don't know, maybe if I had children and a mortgage to pay, I maybe wouldn't be saying the same thing, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Amazing. So this will be my last question.
Let's lock it.
And this one is for anyone who might be right at the beginning. What is the
Mm-hmm.
one thing you want them to take away from this episode? If you could give them like one little packaged up piece of
Oh
advice.
my God, that's a very hard
Twist.
question. Yeah, I think like take as much risk as you possibly can. And I would also say, going back onto what you mentioned, if you want to do something and there are things standing in your way, for example, you haven't got the money for stock or you don't have enough money for ads or whatever it is, you just need to reframe your mind because having that mindset, you'll never be successful. You need to be a problem solver. And I don't think I'm the best problem solver, but I know I have to do it. It's like doing those
Yeah.
things that make you uncomfortable. Nobody enjoys it, but you do feel better after it. So I would say just adapt as much as you can. And I think that another thing would be it's really important to have your self belief as much as you can
Mm.
because it is hard. But if it's just you in it, and even if you do have a business partner or whatever, you need to believe in you and what you're doing because nobody is going to pick you up. Like, yeah, you might have a support system, but to really get up, do the work, figure it out, you really have to do that. And I am actually such an advocate
Mhm.
for making sure that you are making time for yourself. I personally don't know if I'm going to get controversial on this, but I personally don't believe in this sort of burnout hustle culture. Like, I think it exists for people, but
Yeah.
I just don't agree with it. I just don't think I would ever, not necessarily work that hard, but I just mean I have to make time for myself. Otherwise, the business will fail. Like, I have to be able to go to the gym. I have to be able to like pray and meditate or whatever in the morning. Like, if I don't have that in my life, it won't be successful. So I would actually just say, make sure you're looking after yourself as well because it is overwhelming and it is easy to get caught up in that hustle culture. But I personally don't believe in it, and my business is
Mhm.
still successful. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so
What's that?
it can work.
Yeah, what's that phrase? It's like you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Exactly
there
that.
we go.
Exactly that. No, 100% exactly that. That's what I would say. I feel like I just said 5 points instead of one, but
No, that's amazing. Give them everything. Thank you so much for joining. It's been so nice having you on. And honestly, even I've learned so much. So hopefully everyone that's
oh,
listening has also learned a lot from
Thank you
you.
for having me.
No worries. And where can everyone find you?
Okay, you can find me at Sienna Fleur on TikTok and Hausformer on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, website, everything, and Sienna Fleur on LinkedIn. Not that
Amazing.
I post ever, but I'm still there.
And I will put all the links in the description as well so that everyone will know where to find you.
So, yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
So that's it for today's episode of the Solo Business Playbook podcast. If you found this episode helpful, it would mean a lot if you followed along or left a quick review, because it really helps more people to find the show. And if you're building your own business right now, I'm right there with you. You can find more resources, behind the scenes, and ways to work with me in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.